So what's the best camera for vlogging? Right now, I don't know where to look because I have 6 different cameras pointed at me. So yeah, stay right there. You're gonna wanna see this. So we have Canon Vixia, we have the JVC GY-L300, a Canon 70D, Panasonic GH4, and this thing right here is the Samsung Galaxy S7. So right now I'm gonna set up this Samsung Galaxy on my little holder. So before we get this video started, be aware that you can check the description below and you can fast forward to any point in this video. At the beginning, I just talk about the various types of cameras. Then I kind of give you my opinion on what camera I think is good for vlogging or what type of camera I think is good for vlogging. And then I just get into the main things you should look for in a vlogging camera. So just check the links below if you want to fast forward. You don't have to watch the whole thing. So I was on the internet and I was in a forum and someone was saying that they were buying an A7R3 to do a vlog. I thought that was insane because the A7R3 is over $3,000 brand new, and that's without a lens. So if you're just doing vlogs, I don't understand why you would need such a beast of a camera. However, that person, yes, they may be doing a vlog, but maybe their vlog is about cameras, you know? Maybe their vlog is about producing beautiful video of cities and nightlife or whatever. Then I can kind of understand why you would need something like that if you're not just talking in front of the camera, but you're also getting like really nice shots of the city, B-roll, you know, then maybe you would need a step up. First off, let's talk about the different types of cameras that you could use for vlogs. Now, the first camera, let's talk about the JVC GY-L300, and that is this one. That's the one I'm looking at right now. So the JVC GY-L300 is a great camera. It's more of a cinema camera because it uses interchangeable lenses and it has a really big image sensor. As a result, you can get a real nice shallow depth of field. Now, this camera also comes with a lot of quick controls. So it has a lot of buttons on it. It has a lot of switches. It has ND filters, switches for white balance, switches for your gain controls. You can, at a click of a button, you can zoom into your image to help you with your focus. You can get focus peaking, which puts a little outline around things that are in focus for you. Zebras to expose your shot. It does a lot of things, and it has professional audio that you can connect to the camera. So you can connect XLR microphones to this camera, 2 of them at one time. Now, the other thing with this camera is it's $2,500 without a lens. Once you get a lens, you know, you might be paying, not might, you're gonna pay some more money. So if your budget is not 2 G's or more, that might not be the camera for you. Now, can you use it for a vlog? Yes, you can. You know, the only thing with this type of camera is it doesn't focus very well. That's not to say that all cinema style type cameras don't focus well. I'm just saying that this particular one doesn't. And we'll get into it, but I think autofocus is kind of a helpful feature to have in a vlogging camera. Now let's move on to the camera right beside it. I'll look right at it. That's the Canon 70D. That's a DSLR. So a DSLR camera is basically a picture camera. So if you're also a photographer or you want to be a hobbyist photographer, you can do it with that camera for sure. It looks like a picture camera, but you can also shoot video on it. The nice thing about the 70D is you can also plug a microphone into it. You can't plug a professional XLR microphone into it, but you can plug a standard microphone into it. A lavalier, a mic like what I'm holding right here, you can plug that right into it. Very helpful. You can get good audio going right in. The only problem with that particular camera is you cannot plug headphones into it, so you cannot monitor your audio coming out of the camera. So that's one downside. But one upside to that camera is it has excellent autofocus, some of the best autofocus in the game. So there you go. It's also smaller than the JVC GY-L300, which is a way bigger camera, way heavier. This is smaller, lighter, more compact. Right now they have the Canon 80D, which is the newer version of that camera, which also comes with the added benefit of having a headphone jack. So could you use this for vlogging? Yes, you could. Also, the 70D does not come with some professional video features like I mentioned, the focus peaking and all that other stuff. It doesn't come with a lot of things like that. It doesn't come with focus peaking. It doesn't come with zebras. So you're missing that stuff. Okay, so now let's move on to a mirrorless camera, namely the Panasonic GH4. So the Panasonic GH4 is very similar to the 70D, except this particular camera is a mirrorless camera. So it's slightly smaller, not really that much smaller, but it's slightly smaller. And also, one of the major differences is through the viewfinder, you can look through that viewfinder while you're shooting video and you can actually see what you're shooting. You can't do that on a DSLR, at least on the Canon DSLRs. I assume it's the same for all of them, but I'm not 100%. Anybody can answer that in the comments down below, but I'm pretty sure in most DSLRs, when you look through the viewfinder when you're shooting video, you can't see what you're shooting. You can only see through the LCD screen. It also has no record limits. So the DSLR, the 70D, can only record for 30 minutes at a time and then it stops and you got to restart. The GH4 will just keep recording until you hit stop or until you run out of battery life. Also, the GH4 can shoot in 4K and it just has more video formats that it can shoot in. So it looks like a picture camera, but it was built more for video. And it has a lot of the features to expose your shots, to get your focus and stuff that something like the JVC GY-L300 has. Let's then move up to the Samsung Galaxy. So obviously that's a cell phone. So what's the deal with the cell phone? Okay, so a cell phone will work for vlogs. One problem is you can't zoom in and out. So you can't, nowadays they make little external lenses for them. So you could kind of change your focal length, but just natively, you can't zoom in and out without introducing a lot of noise into your picture. Also, it has a very small sensor, so in low light situations, it's going to be terrible. But the picture coming out of it, if you're using lights, is really not bad. It produces a nice picture. It's just that your field of view is wide. It's always shooting at a wide angle. So there's that. You can plug mics into that though. That is a plus. So you can get mics that work for your cell phone, plug it directly into your cell phone and get audio going right into the cell phone. So not a bad option. The only problem, it has no screen that points to you. So all the cameras that I just mentioned previously have a flip screen that flips right toward me. I'm looking at myself on all of these cameras. I am not looking at myself on the Samsung Galaxy because I'm using the rear facing camera, which is the better camera, and I can't see myself. I could use the forward facing camera, but it's not as nice as the rear facing camera. And as a test, we're gonna switch it right now. The Samsung Galaxy is facing me, so I'm using the forward facing camera and now I can see myself. And now I can see my shot is framed terribly, which before I couldn't see. So there you go. So basically with the Samsung Galaxy, you're gonna run into problems like that all the time. So you're gonna think your frame right and you're gonna run into problems like this. Hi, I'm Mike Turner, your friendly filmmaker, and I'm a fool because I can't see myself. So you're gonna be framed improperly. So now, just moving down, let's go to the Yi 4K Action Cam. So the Yi 4K Action Cam is also a pretty decent camera. You can change your focal range on that one. So you can either shoot wide, or you can shoot medium, or you can shoot close. Right now, I'm shooting in the closest focal range for this particular camera. So it should be not showing too much of the things around me, which is good. The major problem with the Yi 4K Action Cam is the fact that you cannot plug a mic directly into it. Now, if you're right near the camera and you're holding it right in front of your face, will that make a big difference? Not really. I mean, you could probably just get away with just putting it right in front of your face and talking right into it. It's probably still going to get decent audio. The problem arises when you're in a location that has some noise going on. Then you're going to get all that noise going directly into the camera with your speaking voice, and that's probably not what you want. It's an action camera, so it has a very, very small sensor in it. So it's not going to do very well in low light situations, but if you have a situation where you have lighting, it does okay. So now let's talk about, lastly, the Canon Vixia, which is right here in front of me. Now, this is a consumer camcorder. It's similar to the JVC GY-L300 in the fact that there's no record limits to it. You can plug a mic and headphones directly into the camera. It's not professional audio, but you can still plug in a microphone. You can monitor your audio. There's no record limits. The battery life is typically going to be better than a Yi 4K action cam, the DSLR, the mirrorless. It's not going to be better than the JVC GY-L300. With the high capacity battery that shoots like 6-7 hours. With the high capacity battery on the Canon Vixia, you probably get about 3 hours. It also comes with built-in image stabilization and whatnot if you're walking around and you need to steady your shot. It's built into that type of camera, where it's not built into the JVC GY-L300. It's not built into the 70D, and it's not built into the GH4. Now, the newer GH5 does come with this, but a lot of mirrorless cameras, not a lot, but some mirrorless cameras and some DSLRs are not going to come with stabilization built in. Same thing with cinema cameras or cinema cameras, they won't have it either. But ENG style cameras, which are very similar to a cinema camera, except they have a fixed lens, they typically do have image stabilization built in. So now that I've gone through this long-winded talk about the various cameras that you can buy, let me just say this. People have recommended the G7, the Panasonic G7, which is a great camera. It's very similar to the GH4, except it's like $500 cheaper right now. It's only 500 bucks, but I believe it's 500 bucks without a lens. So there's one problem with it. If you're a vlogger and you don't want to spend a lot on a camera, spending 500 might be a lot for you. Also, here's the thing with a G7, a GH4, a Canon 70D or a Canon 80D, a DSLR style camera, or something like a JVC GY-L300 or a Canon C100. These are cinema cameras. There's a learning curve to all of these cameras that I just mentioned. So you're not just going to take them out the box, strap on a lens, and hit record. It's not going to work that way. They're a little more confusing. So would I recommend the G7 to the casual vlogger that wants to talk about, you know, Lego pieces and stuff? No, I wouldn't. I don't think it's a good option, because if you don't want to go through the learning curve of having to learn how to properly use a camera like that, it's just going to frustrate you. So I would not recommend it. That's not to say you can't try it out, because maybe you're a sharp person who just, you know, you're good with technology and stuff and you'll learn it quickly. You know, buy it, try it out. If you don't like it, return it. But I think your preference would be something like the Canon Vixia M31. This is an old camera. It's probably like 7 years old at this point. So you're probably not going to get a Canon Vixia M31 unless you buy it used off of eBay. But there are a lot of other consumer camcorders out there that will do the same job. And matter of fact, they'll be even better than this one because they have newer technology. They're going to come with Wi-Fi built in. They might come with 4K built in. And they may still be around that $500 mark, or maybe even less. You can find them for 200 bucks, to be honest, depending on whether you want 4K or not. If you don't want 4K, you can get them a lot cheaper. So I think it's a better option. I think the main thing when looking for a vlogging camera, I'm just going to tell you the things that you want to look for. First and foremost, to me, you want a flip screen. You want a screen that flips out and towards you. One that flips up over the camera is okay. The reason I don't like that is because if your camera has a cold shoot mount, which most of them do, to allow you to mount a light or to mount a microphone or something on the top, if you flip it up, you can't, that's not going to work. You know, then you can't flip up the monitor because there's something on top of the camera. So that's one reason why I don't really like those. I think it's better when it flips out to the side. So that's number one. Number two, you're going to need a microphone input. The camera should have a microphone input. If it doesn't, you're not going to get great audio going into your camera. So microphone input, number two. Number three is a bonus. It's not a necessity, but I really think it is extremely helpful, and that's a headphone input, or excuse me, a headphone output. You really want to be able to monitor the audio coming out of the camera, because for all you know, the microphone you plugged in, if it's battery powered, it might be dead. and you might not realize it. Maybe you didn't plug the wire all the way into the camera, so it's like going in and out and it sounds all choppy. Maybe there's a power cord beside it and it's getting a buzz going into the camera. You won't know all that stuff until you're done, and that really, really sucks. So it's good to be able to monitor your audio. So number 4, and this is not totally necessary. Actually, it is necessary. So in number four to me, which is important, is to have a camera that has good autofocus. Because if you're doing this yourself, you're pointing the camera at yourself, you don't have a cameraman, it is nice to have a camera that just focuses on your face. It gets it and it stays there. So if you're like me and you get a little animated and you move back and forth and you like this and you like that, it's going to keep you in focus. That's important, because the last thing you want is to finish your video, look at it when you're done and realize you were out of focus the whole freaking time. Because although you have a flip screen and it helps with framing your shot, sometimes, you know, the screen is small, and if you're shooting in a place where you're kind of far away, you might not realize that you're out of focus, especially if you're shooting in 4K. So yeah, it is very, very good to have a camera that has good autofocus. And number 5, and this is an added bonus, Wi-Fi controls. Some of the cameras I mentioned don't have Wi-Fi controls, some do. One thing I like about the GH4 is it has Wi-Fi controls. Even though the focus on it is not that good, what I'm able to do is grab my phone, connect to the camera. I see myself on my phone, I click on my face, and it focuses my face and it locks in, and then I hit record from my phone. That's a nice feature. You can get that in a camcorder. A lot of the camcorders these days come with that. So like I said, what camera do I think is the best for doing vlogging? It's a consumer camcorder. That is the best. If you can get a camcorder that has a 1/2-inch sensor at the very least, that's what you want. It's going to give you better image quality. They do make them with 1-inch sensors now. They are a little bit more expensive, but if you can swing it, definitely go with the 1-inch sensor. It's going to give you way better image quality than the 1/2-inch. It's amazing how much better the quality is going a 1/2-inch up. So, you know, there's a few of those. I did a review on the Sony CX900 not too long ago. That has a 1-inch sensor. It's very nice. Makes your picture look very, very nice. I sound like Donald Trump. It's very nice. Very, very nice. Yeah. And that's the best thing for it, man. That's the best thing for the casual. I'm talking about the casual vlogger, folks. I'm not talking about someone who's like me that also does video on the side. If you do video on the side, obviously you're not going to get a consumer camcorder. You're going to step up and get something a little nicer, and that's fine. And you might be a type that's, you know, cameras, so you're probably going to prefer a DSLR or mirrorless. You might like something like the G7, and that's fine if you have the skill. Most of these consumer camcorders, they don't have a lot of manual settings. You hit record and it pretty much does everything for you. There are some slight manual settings, like you could go into like a manual focus mode. You can sometimes adjust the shutter speed independently, or you can adjust the aperture independently, but that's really all it allows you to do. So it doesn't really do much. So it pretty much does a lot of the work for you. Therefore, it limits the mistakes that you can make. You get into a DSLR, you get into a mirrorless camera, you get into a cinema camera, you can make a lot of mistakes. And you think you're getting a good shot, and you're not. If you could get a good microphone for your phone, it's not a bad option too. You can go that route. Nothing wrong with using your phone. I've seen a lot of good YouTube videos where people are recording from their phone. So there's nothing wrong with that. So obviously you guys probably already know the answer to this, but I made a video where I asked you guys, what camera do you think I'm shooting with? So if you were playing that game, the camera that I was shooting with was this one. It was the Canon M31. I just connected this microphone directly into it. This is a cheap little $39 mic, and I just recorded the video. I think the results were pretty decent for spending $150 on that camera about 4 years ago, and it's still able to make a vlogging video that looks pretty decent for YouTube. And the added benefit is you don't have to fiddle with lenses. The lens is already built in. You don't have to change lenses, worry about, is this lens compatible with this camera? Is it going to be wide enough? Is it going to be close enough? Is it a zoom lens? Is it a prime lens? There's a lot to worry about when you're doing DSLR and mirrorless that, trust me, you're not even thinking of, but it can cause you problems down the line. So anyway, there you have it. There are my tips. There's some information on various types of cameras. All the cameras that I discussed are in the links below. Feel free to click on that to get more information about those cameras. Anyway, I'm Mike Turner. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon.